once again, Fight for Recovery Arizona. So today I want to get a little bit more in depth of my actual therapy and what I use myself and how it has worked for me and how it has benefited me. So what I do is not the traditional route. It is not go to meetings, the NAAA, nothing against any of those people or any of those programs. I agree with trying out every program, but just finding what works for you. For me in particular, that's not what worked. And what I do is a little different, but I think it works the best and it works the best for me. And before I even get into what it is or anything more about it, what I want you guys to think of real quick, just clear your minds with me real quick. And this is not just something that is going to be substance abuse related. This is related to everybody in your everyday lives. Most people feel some sort of symptoms of depression, anxiety, stress, things like that, just because of life. Just like in one of my other videos, I said life on life's terms. You're going to have these feelings every day. You're going to be dealing with these emotions every day. But I'm here to tell you guys that if you are willing to change the way that you think and the way that you view things, you will have a whole different outcome on life. Your life is going to completely change, do a 180 for you, whether it's financially, whether it's physically, whether it's just your mood in your everyday life. So what I want to talk a little bit about today is CBT therapy, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. So I have my recovery playbook right here. That's what I'm referring back to. These are some notes and some pages that I have in that book. I'm going to talk a little bit about CBT and kind of introduction to CBT. But what I want to talk about overall is it's just a whole mindset, and it's the way my mind works now because I was taught these things. These are all tools that I have to use on a continuous basis. I have to remind myself of them sometimes. It doesn't just come naturally or super easy. It's something you have to work on. But like I said, overall, the goal of changing your thinking is to change your life, change what is going on in your life. So for me, I had an addiction problem. Changing my thinking corrected those behaviors, and now I'm no longer on the street suffering with my addiction. And all this came down to was changing my thought patterns, changing how I view life, and changing how I think about everything on a day-to-day basis, situation to situation basis. So cognitive behavioral therapy, we'll just refer to it as CBT therapy from now on. So cognitive behavioral therapy is an effective treatment, it says, for depression. At the heart of CBT is an assumption that a person's mood is directly related to his or her pattern of thoughts. So negative, dysfunctional thinking affects a person's mood, sense of self, behavior, and even physical state. So if you have dysfunctional thinking and you think negative all the time, it even will correlate with your physical health. So if you have dysfunctional thinking, you will have dysfunctional physical health. Things like blood pressure and just obesity, all these different things are directly correlated to the way that you look and think. I understand not all of it, but this is going to be a huge part of changing those things and fixing those things in your daily life. The goal of CBT therapy is to help a person learn to recognize negative patterns of thought, evaluate their validity, and replace them with healthier ways of thinking. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and just throw an example out there so you guys have an understanding of what I'm talking about. So this was an example given to me at Marina Point from Christian up there. So Christian, thank you. I'm stealing your stuff. So driving down the road, there's a truck in front of you, has a trailer. There's glass falling out of that trailer all onto the road, okay? And you're driving directly behind this truck. You just ran over a bunch of glass. Your initial thought, and what we call in therapy and stuff, is automatic negative thoughts. It's a thought that's going to come right away. It's going to be negative, and it's just automatic. So if I say ants, you guys understand it's automatic negative thoughts. So your ants are going to start hitting you. You're going to get mad. You just ran over glass. You're irritated. You are mad at the guy driving the truck. You are just overall just upset as soon as this situation happens. You're probably thinking a lot of negative things about the driver. So that is one way to look at things, and that's one way to view them. And that, I think, would be most people's responses to a situation like that. So now, let's take a step back. Let's use a little bit of CBT therapy, a little bit of mindfulness mixed in with this, and let's reevaluate the situation. So now we look at it again. This man driving this truck, he's probably not an a-hole like we're screaming in our car and thinking. He's probably an overworked, underpaid, probably has family at his house. He probably works way more than 40 hours a week. He gets home, has to take care of his kids and put them in bed, and then he goes and does it all over again the next day. He's a very hardworking, honest man that is driving that truck. He probably doesn't know that the glass is falling off of the trailer and that you just ran it over. He's not even aware of this situation. So instead of being mad at him, let's reevaluate the situation. Let's look at it again, and maybe let's pull up next to him and let him know, hey man, you got glass falling off your trailer, and I just ran it over. I don't have a flat tire, so no big deal. Or if you're not able to get his attention, you have to drive a different direction to get to work, then call 911 and say, hey, there's a truck, describe it. Let them pull him over and let that guy know. The guy will probably actually be grateful that somebody let him know, because he doesn't want to get in trouble or whatever. You know, he doesn't want someone with a flat tire and that responsibility, somebody calling his boss, and that just give this guy a whole bucket full of issues when really it's a situation that's not that big of a deal. Did your tire go flat? No, it didn't. Did you make it to work on time? Yes, you did. And you were able to take the appropriate actions to get this guy help, so maybe he does know what was going on and he's able to fix it and continue on. So that's just an example of CBT therapy and just your way of thinking and the way of looking at things. Another example I like to use is talking about your job or your bills or things like that. So I was a homeless heroin addict. I've been to prison. I've spent a lot of time in jail. I've spent a lot of time in very bad situations that I put myself through. Okay? So for me, and this is, like I said, this is a mixture of mindfulness, CBT, and things like gratitudes. You mix all these things together, and that is what I try and work on every day. So most people wake up and they know they gotta go to work, and right off the bat they're irritated. They're mad that they got to go to their job that they don't really care about. They're mad that they don't make enough money. They're mad that, just all these different automatic negative thoughts, all these ants come right into mind as soon as you wake up and start your day. Now, let's step back once again, reevaluate the situation, and look at it once again. So, let's be grateful for some things. I have a job. If you have bills, that means that you're paying for something. So that means that you probably have a house because you have rent, or a car payment. So you have a house, you have a car, you have food to pay for, which means you're able to get that food and you are able to eat. Sometimes it's not easy, but let's look at it in more of a positive light. You are able to have all these things. You're not homeless, you're not incarcerated, you're not in some country somewhere where food and housing is not available. You have all of these things. You should be grateful, and you should look at all of this in a positive light. Even if your job kind of sucks, be grateful that you have a job, because there's honestly people out there that are trying really hard to find something and they can't, and they're trying to make ends meet and they're not able to do that. So if you're able to do that, then you should view that in a very positive. And if you go to work and your boss says some stuff to you that you don't really care about, well, honestly, the only way it's really going to affect your day is if you allow it to affect your day. If you just go to work and just do your own thing and just kind of forget everything that's going on around you and don't worry about the what ifs, like I like to call, well, what if my boss calls me and tells me I got to work another hour? Well, you don't know unless that comes, so why would you cause stress and anxiety for yourself? So these are just good examples of CBT therapy and what I use in my day-to-day life. And like it says here, and I want you guys to research this and actually look it up for yourselves as well, how much just changing your thinking will just change everything for you. Like I said, it really, really starts with the mind. The mind is a very, very powerful thing. So when you're able to get your mind right and you're able to start thinking more positive, you're going to start feeling better. You're physically going to start getting healthier. With that, you're able to work a little bit harder. You're more motivated to go to your work. You're more motivated to work towards that promotion in your job. Just all these things in life are just going to start falling into place for you. But it all begins with when you wake up and how you view things and how you look at your whole day. I've heard examples of, well, you know what, my dad left me when I was young, and so real quick, actually, let's rewind a little bit. So CBT focuses a lot on core beliefs. So that example will just say the situation is my dad left me when I was young. The person's core belief is going to be because I was not loved, because I was worthless. So that right there is going to give you those automatic negative thoughts. It's going to affect your behaviors because you were feeling like you were worthless and not loved. Given that, that's going to affect how you behave in it every day. and your emotions are just going to be kind of all over the place. They're going to be very negative. You're going to have things like depression. You're going to have a lot of other issues that come along with this. So now if we relook at this situation once again and we change that core belief, okay, so the situation is my dad did leave me, but maybe if you change that core belief and change it to, well, it wasn't my fault, it's not because I'm worthless, it's just, he had issues of his own, it's not anything because of me. And you're able to start relieving some of that stress and some of those feelings that you have, those things that are just deep down in you that just eat you alive every day. You're able to rid yourself of those, and you're able to look at the situation different. Then automatically, those thoughts, the automatic negative thoughts, are going to start disappearing. Those behaviors are going to start correcting themselves because you're not feeling these feelings anymore, that depression, that anxiety and stuff from that situation happening to you. So it's all just about how you look at everyday situations, and this is what I do for myself, and this is how I'm able to be where I'm at now. No, not everything is just going to fall right into place exactly how it's supposed to be. There's definitely still going to be struggles in between, but it all starts with a mindset and how you look at everything. Don't what if, don't should on stuff. Well, this should have happened, that should have happened. Well, what if this? You got to let go of all that stuff, because all you're doing is creating stress and anxiety for yourself. And those are things that it's hard to be a normal, happy, functioning, healthy person when you cause a lot of things like anxiety, depression, and stress on yourself. So we're actually able to rid ourselves a lot a lot of these issues just by changing the way that we think. And so now you guys probably have a little bit more of an understanding of what I mean by this isn't just addiction based. If you wake up and you have those ants, those automatic negative thoughts on a day-to-day basis, then maybe it's time to step back and relook at all these situations, relook at what's actually going on in your life, and do some things like gratitudes. Write down 3 things a day that you're grateful for. I'm grateful that I have a house. I'm grateful that I have a job. And I'm grateful that I was able to get into my car today and drive to my job. You're going to have a much more positive outlook on life. There's going to be a lot less things that are able to affect you and your mood and your day. And with all that, everything else will start falling into place. So that's what I got for you guys today. It's a little bit on CBT, a little bit of mindfulness. Those are the therapies that I use, and that is how, like I said, I'm able to be where I'm at today. I want to get a little bit further into CBT, DBT, and mindfulness, but those are for another videos. I just want you guys, honestly, to start. Once you watch this video, I don't care if you work for the courts, I don't care if you work for the police department, start looking at every situation. Police is actually a good example. They probably get really frustrated from dealing with addicts, dealing with people like I used to be, dealing with heroin, all this stuff. They can even reevaluate these situations. Instead of being mad at addicts or mad at heroin, they can think every day when I go into my job, I'm saving lives because I'm helping people get off the streets and away from those drugs. So instead of being mad at heroin, they can feel grateful that they're able to change people's lives. So I want you guys, in your everyday situation, everyday life, start looking at everything around you and start rethinking all of it and focus more on the positive. Those negative core beliefs, I'm worthless, I'll never be good enough, I'll never, just these negative core beliefs that we have about ourselves. I'll never be a functioning normal dad because I'm a heroin addict. Start ridding yourself of these and start working on the positive, and I promise you guys will have a very, very good outcome. And it is proven. I'm living proof that CBT, mindfulness are things that work. And so I really encourage everybody, I don't care, like I said, you don't have to be an addict, just a normal function. You can have $1 million in your bank account, I don't care. Start changing the way that you think about life. Start changing the way you view about all these situations and everything that's going on around you, and you are going to have a much better life, and you're going to die a very happy person. And I think for a lot of us, that is our end goal. We want to be okay when that time comes. We want to be happy and know that we did everything that we could potentially do in our lives. And it all starts with the mind. It all starts with the way you think about things. So like, subscribe, look for some new videos coming soon. I'm excited to post this one. I'm excited for you guys to see and know what actually goes on in my head every day and what I think about every day and how I'm able to get where I'm at. I'll talk to you guys soon. If you guys want to hit me up, I'm on all social medias. I'll post it below here. All right, later, guys.